What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to AC's Fantasy Recap. Going to be going over Week 6 in the NFL season this week. Probably going to be a shorter pod this week. Don't have a guest. I had some schedule conflicts, and I apologize. I know it's a little more fun when we can get a couple more voices on the pod. But for next week, we're going to do a big mid-season recap of the season, trying to get a lot of guys on. So if you are available next week, please block off your calendar and we'll make sure to get more of the guys in the league on and have a little fun with it too. So looking forward to that. We're going to jump right into it with matchup recaps. And to start off, let's just start with my shitty matchup. We had Jeff win 110 to my 56. Not the low score of the week. I want everyone to take note of that. I was not the lowest scorer. But for me, this is just an absolute throwaway week. And if you don't agree with me on that, you have a vendetta out against me. Because I had buys and I had injuries. Here are the people from my team that were out this week. Devontae Adams and Dameon Pierce out on bye. Two of arguably my best players out. Then injury-wise, we had Michael Thomas, Pat Freiermuth, Julio Jones, and Cam Akers, who he's just begging to get in the starting lineup. I'm finally willing to give him another shot. And now he's out. I don't even think it was an injury. I think it was like personal reasons. The team just fucking hates him now. So he's probably not going to be on the Rams anymore. Probably not going to be in my starting lineup for the rest of the season. So what do you want me to do? I had to play Philip Lindsay, had to play Noah Fant, Randall Cobb. I mean, I was just scratching the bottom of the barrel this week for fucking players. So I know everyone wanted a fun matchup, a competitive matchup between me and Jeff. We had the big trade at the beginning of the season. I wanted to show him that my team didn't need those players that I gave him. We're just fine over here. And unfortunately, as fantasy goes, wasn't able to make that happen. So not, like I said, it's a throwaway week. I don't stake too much in my performance against Jeff, and we're just going to keep it moving going forward. For Jeff's team, pretty solid week by him, put up 110, got really good production from Jamar Chase, 28.7, and next week he gets D-Hop back. D-Hop's going to be interesting because I think his usage rate is just going to be through the roof. Marquise Brown obviously had that season-ending injury. He's going to be fresh coming back. The Cardinals need him. The Cardinals are, in dire straits right now to get some wins with the talented team that they have. So I think D-Hop's going to be big for him, and Jeff's definitely on the rise going forward. Next up, we have Jared scoring 115 versus Josh's 101. Josh does manage to squeak the point out this week. Pretty low scoring week overall for fantasy. I saw a tweet that was like, fantasy scores from last year are down 22%. I don't know if that's just average, ESPN average matchup scores, or if it's just the overall production from all fantasy players, but definitely down from last year, and I think we're seeing it reflected in our league without a doubt. Pretty low scores all around, but manages to pick up that 1 point for Jared's team, led by Joey B and Stephon Diggs. Needed them this week. Joe Burrow with 32.5. Love to see it from him. I think he is now QB5 after a relatively slow start for him, but I think the Bengals are clicking now, so I think he's going to be a strong play going forward. Stephon Diggs, number one receiver in the NFL. Did the Vikings lose that trade? Nah, we like Jeff. We like Justin Jefferson. Come on. But love Stephon Diggs, too. I mean, he's just doing it week in, week out. Obviously, super hype matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he showed out. He's just doing his thing all around. One thing with Josh's team, referencing, the D-Hop situation, with Marquise Brown obviously being out. I think there is some potential upside for the Rondale Moore play for Josh. I know they brought in Robbie Anderson from the Panthers. Don't know if he's going to slide into that like wide receiver 2 role immediately. Could see a lot more from Rondale Moore. Might be a nice play going forward with Marquise Brown going down. But have to see as the season continues. But Josh still has a good squad. Not the week he probably wanted, but like I said, picks up that point, so can't be too disappointed about it. Next up, we have JT with 118 versus Nods' 94. And JT, man, he just continues to roll. Number one in our league by a couple points. He's got an amazing squad, led by Josh Allen, put up 26. Nothing crazy from the rest of his team. Michael Pittman Jr. with 19.9, but just consistent play throughout his team. Left some points on his bench too. I mean, this team is deep. The starters are good. Might need a little more from his running back play to truly be like a juggernaut in this team, but it's just been super consistent from him, and I mean you can't deny it. He is the number one team in our league, right? Do you guys have anybody else ahead of him? I don't. Nods, unfortunately, with the low scoring week, drops out of the playoff picture. He is now 7th. Still a contender. I still like this team from him, led by Patrick Mahomes and Leonard Fournette. Got Joe Mixon on the team. Got AJ Brown. He's got some players. Allen Robinson had a bounce back week after not really doing much this season, so it might be a play going forward for him. But I think Nod still has the pieces to be a playoff team by the end of the year, and once he gets in the playoffs, man, he can win the whole thing. We've seen it before. We know his grit. Think he's going to be all right. Next up, we have Schneid's 95 to Tate's 88. Schneid's really needed these 2 points, and he got them. I think he was the 6th scorer with only 95, but really, really big to pick up those 2 points, get out from underneath the bottom tier of the league. I think he has 4 points now going into week 7. So, and that's what this league is all about. You just got to pick up these points week to week. One at the minimum, but really putting together these 2-point weeks is so big because we have this huge disparity in our league. We're not doing just your overall record. We have this point system. Getting these points, man, can't stress enough how goddamn important they are. And Shives was able to pick up 2. Still don't like the team very much. Think it's a god-awful team, but luckily he's also playing another god-awful team in Tate. Sorry, Tate. I don't mean that. Your team's fine. I know you're disappointed in Mike Williams. He had a chance there. He didn't have to do anything too crazy. Just needed 7 more points for you. He's a solid wide receiver. They didn't target him that much. Only ends up with 2.7. I think he had like 2 catches in the game. But disappointing to lose those when you think you have a chance going into Monday night. Just couldn't get it done this week. And yeah, only 95 to 88. I think a lot of weeks this would have been the lowest scoring matchup. But sure enough, we have an abysmal game that we're going to get to a little bit later on. So good job this week, Schneids. Proud of you, bud. Next up, we have Sam Elliott versus Alexander Higgins. Sam with the 106 to 74 victory. And he's gotten really nice play from Ramondre Stevenson these past couple of weeks. He's put up 18.5 last week and 23.1 this week. Kind of nice to see that the Patriots have their starting running back. They always run this 2 RB system basically since I've been alive, it seems like, or at least since I've been paying attention to football. But they might have to stick with this guy. Ramondre's still young too. He's he's got to be like 23, 24, maybe 25. I don't know, but good to see a boost for him, especially with the fantasy production. Also on Sam's team, you got Tyreek, 23.7, didn't even catch a touchdown. He just gets those yards, tore up the Vikings. Kind of tears up everyone, honestly. I don't know if it's a Viking specific thing, but he's just so fucking fast that just give it to him wherever and he's going to get you the yak, you know? Mark Andrews still balling for Sam too, 20.1 this week. Just a clear cut tight end too, really, really in that the two-man race for tight ends who dominate this league. So great to see from him. Nothing from Chris Olave this week. Did he get any targets? Oh, he was injured. Sam, do you play a injured? He missed the week due to injury. Sam, what are you doing? Are you paying attention to your team? 0 points from Chris Olave. Wow, that kind of knocks down my perception of Sam now. Ugh. What are you doing, Sam? Higgins, talking about bottom of the barrel teams, this team is just not getting it done. At least he's getting positive points from his QB. I mean, Gino only had 12.6 this week. Not very good. He also picked up Deion Jackson for the Colts with the Jonathan Taylor injury and then didn't play him. I don't know if he was trying to stash him, but I didn't think it was going to be a great play, but he ends up with 23.1, just kind of a weird pickup for a guy that is probably only going to be a viable fantasy starter for 1 week and decides not to play him. Guess he did have Alec Pearson there. Maybe didn't want the Colt wide receiver running back combo, but little bit of an interesting move there, Higgins. Not sure what the end game was, but I'm sure you're cooking up something. Last matchup, the toilet bowl matchup. Aaron with 70 points versus Woolies 54, lowest scorer of the week, lowest winning score of the season, probably the lowest winning score for the rest of the season. I don't think we're going to have another poop bowl like this. And I'm sorry to say it for Wooly, but I think it's absolute panic mode for his team right now. He's down there with only 4 points. His team's not great, and I was defending it for a really, really long time. But I don't think I can continue to do this for him. Justin Herbert isn't having the production that he would want. You got Jonathan Taylor, who's been underwhelming to say the least. I know he's been injured. Maybe he can pick it up this second half of the season, you'd hope. But I don't know if it's fire sale for Wooly. I don't know if it's just getting lucky here a couple of weeks, but we're about halfway through the season, so this is really where you got to make some moves. And as always, I always forget, I think you can trade the entire season, but trade deadline comes in almost a month now. So got to decide who you're sticking with, who you're going to give up, who you're going to try to get. And hopefully Wooly has that figured out, if not this week, in the next couple. Aaron, like I said, lowest scoring winning matchup of the year, but unfortunate for him for buys. He had Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs out, had to play Khalil Herbert and Darrell Henderson Jr. So didn't play George Kittle. Oh, played Taysom. Dude, okay, so in the last podcast, I had that little tidbit of, wow, are you guys going to bid on Taysom Hill? Then, of course, Schwecky goes in, spends like $22 on him or whatever it is. Plays Taysom Hill, only ends up with 4.5. Think it was an outlier week the previous week for him. Don't think he's going to be viable going forward. So Aaron had George Kittle on the bench, and I think George Kittle is probably the tight end play for the rest of the year. But like I said, Aaron's weapons weren't all available this week, so maybe you give him a little bit of a pass on the bad week. With that being said, those are the matchups for this week. Gonna do my power rankings. And I'm not really gonna go into why I am ranking the way I'm ranking. Just gonna say it and leave it up for discussion from you guys. But here's who I have starting from worst to first in AC's power rankings. At number 12, we got Alexander Higgins. You know, this team's a shitstorm right now. At 11, we have Zach Schneider. I've mentioned my complaints with this team, and I got validation from him as well in the group message, so I don't feel too bad about saying it anymore. At number 10, we have Wooly, free fall mode. Got to figure something out. He's my 10th in the power rankings. At number 9, we got my good friend Tate Garrett's. Not an impressive team. Only has 2 points. You know, it's funny. Higgins and Tate are in the exact same position that they were last year. Do you think they have it in them to turn this around to be in the championship game? I don't know if I see it this year, but I probably would have said the same thing last year. So we'll see moving forward. At number 8, we have myself. Bad week this week. I bet a lot of you guys want me lower on this list, but no, I'm sticking with 8. Unfortunate week for me. I think I'm an okay team. I think I can fight for the playoffs here. So I'm at 8. Number 7, this might get some controversy. Controversy. Aaron Schwecke at number 7. He, I think, is like 3rd in standings right now, but I just don't love this team very much. I don't think he has the personnel to really get it done. Yep, Aaron Schwecke in 3rd place. I think this team might drop in the standings in the next couple of weeks. So I have him at 7. I have him, if the playoffs started today, well, not if the playoffs started today, he'd be in. But if we took my power rankings, he'd be just outside of the playoffs. Number 6, we have Sam Elliott. Pretty good team. Nothing to shake your head at, but nothing to be too excited about either. Number 5, we have Nodler, my preseason pick to win it all. He's fighting. I don't think the team is as good as I thought it was coming out of the draft, but let's see if he can turn it around here and move closer to the top. At number 4, I have Jeff Osborne. That DeAndre Hopkins coming back. I think it's going to be big for him. He probably wants to be a little bit higher too, but you're at 4, Jeff. Relax. Number 3, our fearless leader, Josh Palmer. Josh has a really, really good team. I think there's an argument to be made for him to be the number 2 on this spot. I think, he's putting up a lot of points. He is pretty good at every position. But the team that I got ahead of him is none other than Jared Bloom. I think he is 2nd in points for, and he's had quite a bit of points scored against him as well. Third most points against him. He's got a really good team, and he's got players coming back. He's got DeAndre Swift coming back. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown coming back. So this team's only getting better going forward. He's at my number 2. And you all knew this was coming. Justin Thompson. Who would have guessed at the beginning of the season that halfway through, Justin Thompson would be leading the pack? Now, this is for right now. I think Justin has shown an ability to absolutely collapse near the end of the season. And we could see that happen again. Don't see this guy in the playoffs very often. But as of right now, most points for. Scott, let me check the standings really quick. He has 2 more points than Josh up at the top. His team's just been consistent as hell, and he's only lost out on 1 point. Unreal performance by him halfway through the season. So really good job, JT. Proud of you, bud. Let's see if you can keep it moving. All right, let's do Vikes recap. It was a pretty rough game to watch. We knew that we were getting the 3rd string quarterback, so I think a lot of us wanted to see a more dominant effort from the Vikings, and I just don't know if we're going to get a dominant effort from the Vikings this season. We had 10 3 and outs of our, I think, 15 drives. We, we just have this time during the game where it just seems like nothing's clicking. I don't know if that's offensive play calling. I don't know if this Miami defense is maybe better than what we thought it was going to be going into the game. It was really hot on our sidelines. That might have had something to do with it. Did you guys see that barometer or thermometer that showed it was almost 130 degrees on the Viking sidelines compared to 80 degrees on the Miami sidelines? That's just got to be fucking illegal. What is going on there? How can they allow that to happen? I want a full on investigation. I want Roger Goodell to do his fucking job, get in there and find out why my team is fighting for their goddamn life just standing on the sidelines. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Figure it out, NFL. Some positives. Kirk was okay. Didn't have a turnover this game from any of the Vikings players. We, on the other hand, had 3 turnovers for the defense. Really nice to see. 6 sacks from the defense as well. Kind of need them to step up this game since the offense was a little lackluster, and they did. Probably best defensive performance of the year other than that Green Bay game. So nice job by them. Dalvin Cook, good to see him burst a big one, about a 50-yard touchdown run or something like that. But I'm worried about this team. I know we're 5-1. I know, wins in the NFL are hard to come by, and we have done a great job of securing those wins. But we haven't played very good teams other than Philly, who we got blown out by. And now with the Carson Wentz news, he's having surgery. He's going to be on the IR for 4 games, I think, minimum. In our first 7 games, we will be playing 3 backup QBs and the aforementioned 3rd-string QB. So a win's a win, but what do you think that line is going to be when we go to Buffalo? Plus 10? That's probably too high. But I don't think we can compete with these top-tier teams. I need to see it from them. I need to see us put a full game together. I want us to win by 40. But we got a tough matchup coming up with the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals have been underwhelming as hell, but they need a win. They're desperate. They're going to be coming out flying at us. Really need to be on our game, pick up a win versus Cardinals, pick up a win versus Commanders the next week going into that Bills game. Because, we have a little cushion in the NFC North, but let's keep it that way. And these next 2 games, if we are who we say we are, it should be 2 wins. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But obviously 5-1, man. If you had told me at the beginning of the season this was going to be the case, probably wouldn't have believed you. So happy for the Vikings. Like I said, it was going to be a shorter pod this week. I do want to have a little story time before I get out of here. Obviously, we are the Cooper Orion Velasquez Olsen Memorial Fantasy Football League. And, some somber news. This Friday would have been Cooper's 28th birthday. He, was a pillar for our fantasy football leagues before he passed away. And being a fantasy football podcast, I did want to give you guys just a little story. Makes me look pretty bad. I'm sure I've told it to you guys before, but just kind of a funny fantasy football story involving our good buddy Cooper. So I started a fantasy football league about 13 years ago, I want to say. It was like freshman year of high school. And I wasn't in a massive football family growing up. I mean, we watched Vikings games, but not as religiously as I do now. And it was just kind of something I had seen fantasy football, and I was like, this seems pretty fun. Like, let's just get a league going. I text a couple of the guys, text Cooper. Cooper being the guy that he is, was immediately down within 30 seconds of me texting him because that's just the kind of guy that he is. Anytime you texted him for a drink, anytime you texted him to meet up, he he was always a guy that was willing to drop whatever he was doing and come hang out or be involved with this great fantasy football league that we started 13 years ago. So I'm the manager of this league. We're still doing the draft board where everyone comes over to my house and we write it up on the board or whatever. And we're all novices. No one was like this massive football guy at that point. So we're kind of learning together how you draft, what makes a good fantasy football team, all of that fun stuff, learning the rules together. So I think it was like a week 4 matchup, and it was me versus Cooper. And this is back when Hakeem Nicks was in the league. He was playing for the Giants, and he was good. He was like maybe first or second year in, and he was putting up some points. And I think he maybe had a slow start to the season, but had picked it up a little bit. And I'm in that classic flex decision of, am I going to play Hakeem Nicks? Am I going to play one of these other running backs? Like, what do I want to do? And I'm fighting over this situation for hours, days. And it was like it was probably the Thursday night game. So, one of the first decisions that you have to make at the beginning of the week. And I'm kind of fighting over this decision. I'm not really realizing what time it is. And I come to the decision, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to play Hakeem Nicks. And I go to change my lineup, and I realize that the lineups had locked. And I couldn't put Hakeem Nicks in because the game had started mere 20 seconds before. So now, being the devious piece of shit that I am, I'm tasked with another big decision of, I'm the league manager. I can just put this fucker in. The game's been going for 20 seconds. There's no shot Cooper is watching my lineup that closely. You know what? He hasn't scored any points at this point. Nothing has even happened. I think they literally probably just took the field, and that's where the countdown started. And that's where the lineup's locked. So I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just going to use my league manager ability, and I'm going to throw Hakeem Nicks into this game. So I put him in. Take out whoever in the flex. Probably was playing the flex player on Thursday night, too. So that's how much of a novice I was. And I put this fucker in. And I kid you not, 15 seconds after I do it, I get a text from Cooper. And he's like, you just put Hakeem Nicks in after the lineup's locked. So I have two decisions here. I can man up and admit what I have done, or I can lie my ass off. I'm sure you guys know which path I took. I lied my ass off. I told him, you know what? I put him in before the game. Like, maybe it just didn't register on your computer. Text me back immediately. Nope. You just put him in. You just put him in the lineup. And I'm like, Cooper, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't put him in after the lineup slot. He's in there. It was good to go. Nothing shady happened. And Cooper just sticking to his guns. He's like, you fucking cheated. And I know you cheated. And he doesn't make a big fuss about it. He doesn't text others in the league. He doesn't, bring it to the forefront that there's corruption at the top of this Mickey Mouse league. But he just kind of had that over me, that I know you cheated. I'm not going to do anything about it, but you're a fucking liar. And I was. Now I've had to live with the guilt of that decision my entire life, and it hurts. That being said, I think Cooper still won the matchup that week. I think Hakeem Nicks probably only put up like 3 points or something. Probably a big mistake by me to even do that. Cost me my legitimacy as a league manager. Cost me the matchup. Um, but that motherfucker Cooper was on it, man. This dude was a fantasy football gamer from the get go. And, it just sucks. He would have been, Coop. He would have loved to be in this league. He, he was just that guy that was always willing to do whatever the group is doing, or to do whatever an individual was doing. Just always around, always down to hang out. And with his 28th birthday coming up, just thought I would do a little ode to him as this as this league is his memorial fantasy football league. So, Coop, man, we miss you. Happy birthday. And you would have been a dog in this league, man. I know it. You would have been a dog in this league. Miss you, bud. So that's going to wrap the fantasy football recap this week. As always, like and subscribe if you joined it. As I mentioned, hoping to get a lot of you guys on for next week's fantasy pod. I think it'd be a lot of fun to just shoot the shit and talk about the season halfway through and see what we have going forward. So, all right. Peace.